because they have, you dolt. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and for the gentlemen watching, if you subscribe, your penis will grow an extra few inches. And for all the ladies watching, your penis will grow a few extra inches. So, I've just been hearing about, just relatively recently, I've been hearing about these pictures that feel strangely familiar but are uncomfortable 7 months ago, and I figured that I wanted to give it a shot. I've watched many of these videos before, I've seen many of these pictures, but I want to put a spin on it. From the channel Solar Sands, you should check him out, by the way. His liminal space video is absolutely amazing. But in that video, he brings up the point that these feel familiar because, these are very standard locations to be in your childhood. So what I want to do, I've never been through this video before. Part 7 of Pictures That Feel Strangely Familiar But Are Uncomfortable by David Crypt. Don't know why it's unlisted. But from this video, I just want to pause at every single new image and explain why it feels familiar. That's just my whole goal. Just explain, make it a little bit less of a mystery, I guess. So let's begin. So this feels like a relatively standard bedroom layout for like an average upper middle class family, or probably that one kid that's always cooler than you and is better than you. Like you go over to his house one time and everything is just like so cool there. Like, oh, they have this loft. I love this bedroom. It has fun colored walls. But I feel that the colored walls are not really a part of that whole, get up, I guess. I think the colored walls, just brightly colored things in general, do tap into people's, childhood because, you don't see those kinds of vibrant colors as you get older, or at least you don't think about them as much. So having those, brightly colored childish colors, it'll just kind of make you think a little bit more deeply and be slightly more familiar. Also, I'm voice cracking a lot. That's gonna get better throughout this video because I, just woke up. Okay, let's see this next image. I feel like the video knew that I was gonna do this and just, chucked this at me. Okay, so I don't even know where to begin with this one. I feel like this would be a good time to just, make a rule that, any of the, ones like this that are, really, computer generated, I should not be able to, this is not fair. I guess, kind of like sky levels in video games. I got nothing. Finally, something easy. This, it looks like the living room to a one-story house, like in around 2006, early 2000s, early 2010s, mid 2000s, I guess. But this kind of gives off vibes of just being a baby, because you can see all the baby toys. There's some sippy cups on that chair to the right, I think. Baby gate, lots of baby toys. So this whole general setup, and the fact that there's no TV also helps, because most people growing up in the 2010s, at least, or just mid 2000s, they probably didn't watch TV. They either didn't have a TV or didn't watch TV as much as you would nowadays. So it's just kind of relaxing to see just a family, being a family without anything to kind of, I guess, bond it together other than each other. So this whole thing just generally gives off, doing your best with what you got to me. But yeah, just a very standard early 2000s, early 2010s living room. Next video. Next photo. Okay, so this gives off vibes of a girl's bedroom, very early 2000s. Personally, I'd expect to see this at a grandmother's house or something like that. The AC probably means that this was taken in an apartment, but I don't know. It just gives off vibes of going to your grandma's house and either spending the night or just staying there for a while to have dinner. Just very grandma-y vibes. Okay, this took no time at all to recognize, because as soon as I saw this, I was like, boom, I Spy book. This looks so much like a stupid I Spy thing, except there's nothing really hidden. Actually, I bet this is from an I Spy. Cause, yeah, That or like a school diorama project that like when you look back on it in your memories is a lot cooler than what it actually was. Just kind of gives me those sort of vibes, you know. Uh, it feels very dreamlike, I guess, with everything looking so perfect in every way. From this point forward, I'm gonna start trying to connect, when I can, I'm gonna connect things to like personal memories. Not gonna get too in depth or sentimental, just like stuff that's happened in my life, I'll try and connect if I can. Okay, so this looks like a standard bouncy house area, you know? Just that you'd go at like a birthday party when you're turning like 6 or something. Just kind of very fun atmosphere. For like half a second, I thought these were people, but then it wouldn't be very liminal. But anyway, this just gives off a very childlike like vibe because this is a children's play area, and like probably many people, including myself, have good memories of having like a birthday party in one of these like you know bouncy house area rooms buildings where there's just a bunch of bouncy houses and everyone can have fun. And I have a very like vivid memory of like when I turned 6, I had a birthday party at this place called Tiger Bounce, and I just remember it was like a lot of fun. But at the same time, there was like a hint of kind of iffiness, you know, like the bouncy houses were kind of dirty sometimes. Uh, it was, I'm pretty sure that the party room was like in the middle of the whole establishment, so like not in a separate room at all. There was the pizza was sort of iffy, and like air conditioning was a bit too cold. But other than that, it was a lot of fun. I feel like it's sort of looking back on your childhood memories and feeling that, like recognizing that not everything was perfect is kind of what these liminal spaces are all about. Because nostalgia can like really cloud your memories, I guess, and make you see everything in a really idealized way. And at least for me, since I'm a pessimist, I don't see like a whole ton of like positive traits in my current emotions. So, like my current memories. So I look back on like my old memories and I feel a bit like more, you know, happy about it. I since I don't remember them as well, and I'm like gripping onto something that like any perfect memories that I have, I'll look back on those like memories that and I fill in the gaps with like positive emotions, you know. But then like these images with their slightly unsettling tinge, it'll kind of like bring you back to those memories and make you realize that it wasn't perfect, you know. Uh, that was a tangent. Okay, next image. Oh no, oh no, oh no, oh no, oh no, I crisis averted. So, I accidentally let it play a bit too much and unpaused the recording. So, this is very easy to explain. This looks a lot like kind of the Windows 98 wallpaper, which a lot of people, even if you didn't use that operating system, do recognize very well. And that image already feels nostalgic, but this is like seeing a different angle of it almost. But I have another memory. It's kind of similar to this. I was a cross country kid for my school in 7th grade, which I recently graduated. And this feels like this one track that I started for a meet, and it was my first ever meet, and it absolutely sucked the whole time. But I have like really good memories of going back into my mom's car, my mom's car. But I have good memories of like listening to Hamilton on the way home. You know, after meets is always the best part, in my opinion. Not just because it's over now, but also just the general positive vibe of it. You feel rewarded for what you do. And this image looks a lot like the start to that track. And yeah, I don't know. That's kind of where I recognize it from, at least. Probably not many others, but at least for me. This looks like one of those rooms that like when you're a baby, your parents set up just like a room for you because you're a little spoiled brat. Sorry, I had to put down my water bottle there. If you ever hear like any random like slamming or clicking or hitting, nothing's happening. I'm just like fiddling around with stuff and it accidentally hits my desk. Anyway, this feels like a standard baby room, you know? Like either your personal room or just like probably a den that's made for like books and crap, but your parents set up with a bunch of like baby toys for you to just play around with and not accidentally choke yourself somehow. Sorry, I blanked there. But this gives off very early 2000s vibe, you know? Especially with like no electronic toys really, and the photo quality does help. I can't really connect this to any personal memories, well, this setting at least. I can connect this singular toy right here, because I remember my grandparents had one, and I'd go over to their house when I was like very, very young, and I'd just play around with it in the middle of the living room. So that's the only thing that I can really connect to personally. But other than that, yeah, very standard baby playroom. Okay, so this is probably one of, actually scratch that. This is like the second weirdest image in this video so far. So, if you've ever been to a McDonald's or Chuck E. Cheese, this will feel very familiar. Mostly McDonald's, though. Uh, I don't know if this chain is like, I don't know if this is actually a chain at all. I don't know if there's multiple of these locations, but it's called Going Bonkers, and it's basically just like play places very similar to this, but just like absolutely huge, like inordinately huge. Uh, and this just kind of reminds me of there, personally, because I remember going there a lot with like my cousins, and they always disliked me. I didn't do anything to them, but they generally did not have a lot of interest in playing with me. But I have a lot of memories of being alone like this, just in a play place trying to find fun, but like it's always more fun with other people, just objectively. You know, this just feels very lonely. And back to that whole thing I talked about with not trampoline, bouncy houses, this kind of reminds me that things were never perfect, you know? God, we're only 25 seconds through. Okay, so any personal memories I have to anything looking like this are extremely recent. Uh, like, like just last year recent, but I still formed nostalgia for them somehow. This quick. I form nostalgia very quickly. Anyways, this gives off vibes of like a very cheap establishment that like most of it is super high quality, or at least above average quality for its purpose. But then like you go to the bathrooms and it's just something like this, you know? Very empty, very, I guess, makeshift. It, you can definitely tell that they put most of their budget into their main attraction, I guess, and everything else was an afterthought. This just gives off those vibes, a very empty room with a relatively cheap looking sink. But like depending on how you grew up, like what homes you grew up in, uh this may seem more or less familiar. Cause like some people may have just used this sink and just see that as like, you know, a normal sink. Uh, but I remember going on a trip recently to, actually cannot disclose that location. Yes, I can. Colorado, because that's not where I live. So, we were taking a trip to Colorado, and we had booked this one Airbnb. It was super fun, right? Turns out the home was not cleaned at all. There was like blood in places, which was kind of freaky. Everything was dirty. So then we called the place, like the owners of the home, and they straight up let us have a better house for the same exact price. Actually, cheaper. Yeah, they let us be there for cheaper than the other one, and it was like a really big home. It was really nice. Everything about it was super like sleek, you know, not sleek. It was a very cottage-y feeling house. It was in like the middle of the woods. But I just remember being there, and in the opening there was a little side room with a few laundry machines, a few dryers, and a sink that looked exactly like this. So that's kind of a personal connection, I feel, like, you know, a personal memory. This one is not very hard. This is like a jet. This feels a lot like a Dollar General, I guess. N- Very specifically Dollar General. I don't know why. You can see in the corner a propane tank place. I don't know what you call these. Propane cabinet. But I blanked. Yeah, this is just like a very general uh area to be in, especially with these pools. With a lot of these liminal space images, there isn't like a focal point, you know, it's just kind of hollow feeling. But for this, it definitely feels like the poles are the focal point. so I don't feel really anything. I guess memories include, I don't know, going to a Dollar General, if that counts. Next image. Okay, so this image gives me, for some reason, vibes of like an upstairs laundry room, and I cannot describe that. An upstairs laundry room or an upstairs bathroom, one or the other. I don't think I have any personal connections to a place like this, any personal memories, but it does feel like an upstairs bathroom to me. Sorry, this was relatively short. I don't know really what to say. Next image. Hey, remember that kid that's always better than you from earlier? Yeah, let's get back to him. He's just now shown you his backyard, and it looks very fancy. You know, nice white fence, pool. That's cool. I think that's actually a hot tub. Uh, nice pot, and very fancy looking light. Also, it's at night for some reason, but at the same time, the lighting looks overcast. Like the sky looks like night, but the actual way that the light's hitting everything feels like kind of late afternoon overcast. Don't know why I recognize that as that coloring, but I just do. There's a slight blue tint. That's, I guess, of note. I don't know, this feels very just backyardy because, well, it is a backyard. I made a groundbreaking revelation. So, yeah, this is just another part of like that kid that's always better than you. You're going over to his house and everything's so new and cool. No personal memories to this that like are nostalgic at all. I do have memories that are places similar to this, but like very, very recently, like scarily recently, like a month ago recently. Uh, so next image. Okay, so I can recognize this almost immediately. Um, Actually, it might be where this photo is taken from. So, the Cat in the Hat live action. Okay, that might sound weird at first, but I remember everything was super, like, bright colored, everything was super exaggerated, and I can swear that the neighborhood that they lived in looked exactly like this. And if you do not recognize this location from that movie specifically, you probably recognize it from another movie that looks very similar. Like, for example, I think that Despicable Me had a relatively similar looking neighborhood to this. Just tons of movies have neighborhoods that look like this. Except in most of those movies, it'll be like a pan shot, and then one house that looks super different where all the quirky main characters are. But this doesn't have that, so it feels a lot, less, I guess, interesting. It feels more hollow, A lot of these images just feel hollow because it's just like there's something missing because, well, if you watch Solar Sand's video, there is something missing. Like I said, I really recommend that video. It's really good. Oh, speaking of going back to crap from earlier, welcome back to your grandma's house, featuring that one guest room that's like entirely empty, you know? Just like a room that she's had for a while. No one's ever really been in it. She hasn't had enough guests over to like really occupy this room. But it does give me those general vibes of just like, this is here in case we need it, but we won't use it. That's just the general vibe this gives off. Also, the lighting is very powerful. It feels kind of yellow, and the resolution is very blurry, like an unfocused camera. Like I said, Solar Sands video, the kind of like bad camera quality does help with the vibes of a lot of these images. I have something that kind of connects to this, mainly with the idea of just like a mattress being on the ground. But sometimes like my family will all, well, by will all I mean, me, my dad, my sister will go hunting, and we own this like plot of land a bit away, probably a few cities away, and it's just like a cabin in the woods. We go to hunt there, but I remember in the cabin there's like a lobby, not loft. Uh, if you go up a ladder by the entrance, you'll end up in the loft and has like a very similar like ceiling structure to this. And there is a mattress on a very shallow, like low, uh, bed frame that is just that has like this exact same fitted sheet. I swear. So that's kind of where I get some personal memories from. Anyway, next image. Okay, we got our first one that I can relate to a dream. So, this looks like a relatively standard living room for, like, I don't know, a grandparent to have. At least to me, it feels very grandparent-y, with all those kind of, like, older looking architecture. Well, not architecture, but just, like, furniture, you know? Shelf made out of wood. Looks... I can almost, like, smell this. Like my old grandpa's house, I have very good vibes of this. But I do remember something a lot like this with the toys. There's this one dream I had a while ago. I was probably 3, and I remember having this dream slash nightmare. It started off as a dream because I was in this like really fun house during the day, and like there are all these toys that I wanted, toys that I didn't know that I wanted. It was just a super fun place to be. I enjoyed playing with all of them. But then when it got to night, the whole house was like pitch black, like save for a few extra rooms that would just have like one light like this, except everything else was just like pitch black. I could barely see anything other than like walls. But it just gave me vibes of this, like all those toys just being in the darkness. It gives off vibes of like, I guess, like you've been playing with toys all day when you're like really young, you've enjoyed all of them, but now it's kind of time to go to bed. But before you go to bed, like I guess your parents ask you to turn off the light in the living room, and you just see that singular light. It's very dark out, so your toys are being almost. It looks like they're being consumed by the darkness. It just gives off vibes of playtime's over, but kind of like, but I can play again tomorrow, something like that. I don't know. It just gives me those vibes. Huh, my back hurts. Oh my god. Oh. Ladies and gentlemen, do not worry. A water bottle just fell over and startled me a lot. So, this image, but I was saying that my back hurt. So, this image, it feels like almost like a drama room, I guess. Like in school, because like I remember my drama room, at the back of the class there was just like a stage that kind of just looked like an extension to the ground, sort of like this. It also gives me churchy vibes. I don't know why. I haven't been to many churches, but this feels like one of those like big churches that's like barely a church. It's like a place to be, because there's this like one video game making like a summer camp that I had, and it was at a church that was like that, where you could, like, if you didn't know or look at the writing on the walls talking about God and stuff, you would not know that it's a church. It looks just like a place that you could rent for parties, Uh, it gives me those sort of vibes, just like a place you'd be for like a wedding or something. It also, this is another one that I can smell for some reason. I can't describe why, but I can smell this. And I cannot describe that smell other than starchy, I guess. Feels starchy. Starch gang. Anyway, next image. Oh boy, I've seen this image a lot in these videos. So, it gives off like very, like, like I said, childhood memories with all the vibrant colors. This looks like just like a standard room in a relatively large house. Not like large, but just sort of medium sized, maybe just 1-story house. It gives off those sort of like comfy vibes, but with super bright colors to kind of like push you back into your childhood. Because this would still feel liminal if it was just like standard colored walls, but at the same time, it it feels like a lot more vibrant and nostalgic and happy because of the bright colors, like I just said. Uh, Next image. I think the video hates me. Uh, so I don't. Is it weird that I can connect this to SpongeBob? Because for some reason this gives me vibes of like this one Atlantis episode. Uh, like Atlantis SquarePantis, I think, where Patchy is just like going out on his own in like a desert, and there's all sorts of like weird stuff. I don't know why it gives me those vibes, but other than that, this shouldn't feel... This is the one that I can't explain, actually. Like, with the cloud one, the ground looks sort of something like out of Gmod, but it doesn't look like... Like, you can recognize that, because of, like, the repeating floor feels like Gmod. This, I can't even begin to say. Good job, David Crypt. You've bested me. Okay, this feels a lot like a mall that you'd go to, like, on a trip to, like, a very touristy city, you know? And, like, you'd go to this one mall, and it's set up, like, a lot like this, you know? This is another one that I can smell. It feels, like, cold, but it has sort of, like, a sweet ice cream parlor-y smell. Uh, but, yeah, this just feels like one of those malls where all the stores are just lined up nice and even. Gives off good memories of old vacations that I've had. I would like to just state I've had this song, just a second, let me... I had this song I'd Rather Sleep just like on repeat this entire time. And it's getting to me. Like, I swear I'm going to kill a man. Anyway, uh, yeah. Back to what I was talking about. So, this feels like, I don't know, like, I guess... Yeah, I actually... Okay, I'm gonna need like a minute to think about this one. And I got it. So this feels like an empty hotel. So just like most hotels. Because mainly because if you look to the right, you can see like a very like sleek looking, like, it looks like there should be a microwave there for a hotel. I don't know if apartments look like this too. I've never been in an apartment other than like retirement apartments, but I could also see this being apartment-like, but mostly to me, I can relate to it being a hotel that I've been to. It's been a while since I've been to a hotel, but it just gives off those vibes, you know, of just being like a super sleek hotel, but it's also like really empty. But at the same time, you also know that you aren't going to be there a whole ton. So it feels sort of like fitting that this has like motion blur. Next image. Oh, it's been recording. How about that, huh? So, there is also a possibility that that entire segment I just said about the last image didn't get recorded. That, or I just misclicked when I tried to pause it. Who knows? Anyway, so, this looks like a big hotel. Not hotel. This looks like a big house that you'd rent from, like, Airbnb, that like always so much cooler than your own house, you know? Not This is like past the point of that kid that's always better than you. This is like on a whole other level. Cause I have memories of going to like this one like really big house that like my uncle rented uh for us to just go on for a weekend, and just that house was enough to entertain us the entire time. It was a huge house and it had like really fun bedrooms. Like there's this one room and it was just like probably 10 bunk beds lined up against each wall. And it gives me these kind of vibes of just like really cool bedrooms, you know? Like, oh, I'd love to sleep here. It would probably be really uncomfortable though, because like, look at these mattresses. They're like smaller than my self-esteem, which is hard. But it just still feels like the novelty of being in a room like this would be enough. Next image. Wait, it didn't pause still. What? Okay, so it can pause. It's just like, okay, OBS is just being funky and not pausing anything. Anyway, I can name exactly where this comes from. like, like precisely so. This is from Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared. Like, okay, just like half a second. Okay. It's like, okay, first video. Uh, I don't care about you, Uber Eats. Everybody knows that Grubhub is better because Grubhub perks give you all the deals on food you love. The kind of deals that make you boogie. That's outdated. So, we got just this. Okay. Okay. So I know for an entire fact that this is like, you know, this is definitely from this video. I don't know where in this video this is, but it's most certainly at some point in this video. Let's skip past that part. But yeah, it's definitely at some point in this video. I don't have the patience to look through the entire thing, but it is definitely at some point in here. You can see that like the area is the exact same. Talks about getting creative. It is most certainly from this video, which I just find like really funny. You can even see the yellow guy in the corner. So this is probably like the laziest image. Like that sounds harsh, but it is. It's just it looks like an edited version of did I unpause this? No. This just looks like a slightly edited version of a frame from this video that I will find later. Anyway, I will comment the timestamp for this video to find it. I'll just watch through it again for y'all. So, let's go back to the next image. I'm just gonna do, probably this last image will be the one that I'll probably stop after this. Woo boy, ending with a banger, okay. So, I meant to say ending with a bang, but I said banger, which makes me want to kill myself. So, this looks like a nightmare. That, or a grandparent's house. Because, like, there's this one grandparent I had, and I'd go over to his house, and he had, like, his house was very old. It was built a while ago, and they never really replaced the wallpaper. But it wasn't peely. It was exactly like this. And I remember they had this long hallway where it would lead to all the bedrooms and such, and also storage rooms. There were a lot of storage rooms. And I remember being, like, I went over to his house. I only went over to his house one time, and this was that one time. Why did I say it like that? This hallway feels a lot like when I need to go up to go to the bathroom in the middle of the night, because like they left the hall light on for me, but it did not cover the entire hallway, so it was like, a lot like this. And I remember being sort of scared, and I just held it until morning. Just gives me those vibes of a place that you know, but it's dark now, so you don't really want. It's like unknown crossing over to the known, which is kind of very similar to all liminal spaces in general. So, I'm going to just see what this next image is and if I can do anything with it. If I can't, then this is the end of the video. Haha, I couldn't. Also, I started talking and the video was still paused. But anyway, so this is actually like a lot of fun to make. I wish I could have done the whole thing, but I only watched a single minute of it, and it took me 33 minutes. So I don't think I'm strong enough to get through this whole thing. I might make a part 2, doing like half of another one of these videos. But I don't know, this was just fun to do. Nice unedited video where we just kind of vibe, you know? But not scripted, by the way, if you could not tell by literally everything about this. Oh my god, hamburger chair, I love hamburger chair. Anyway, so, this was just fun to make. Like if you enjoyed this, dislike if you hate me personally, comment if you also hate me personally, and see you later. What was that? Okay, we're going to Dreamcore now. So! See you all later. Off to visit your mother.